What's up, Bearded Banker podcast listeners? You can catch every episode of the Bearded Banker podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on Facebook by searching the hashtag Bearded Banker podcast. This episode was special for me. Not so much for Aaron. It was fun for me. My dad, also known as Big Don, joins the show to talk about sales, to talk about public service, his time on the fire department, some of my family history, and a bunch of inappropriate nonsense. Maybe the most inappropriate guest that we've had on the show. I felt bad for Aaron on this one. He was literally fighting for his life, just trying to get some airtime between the two of us. Big Don has been in sales his entire life and gives some good insight on what it takes to be a successful salesman. He gives a little bit on his career and some pointers on maybe what he would recommend to, well, anybody actually, whether you're just starting out in the career or just starting out in the job field, or if you're a seasoned veteran. So it was a really good interview. He likes to talk. He's long-winded. I really do a good job of making fun of him, but not making fun of him too much. So you'll enjoy that. But make sure you show your support by liking, following, subscribing, sharing our content. That is the number one way you can help this podcast continue to grow and continue to get some entertaining guests or insightful guests on the show. So that is all we have, and let's go.
Like Dags. You like Dags? Oh, you mean dogs.
Welcome to the Bearded Banker Podcast that is brought to you by Alcova Mortgage and the Alcova Can-Do Pre-Approval. A pre-approval that guarantees your loan or pays the buyer and the seller of a property if your mortgage pre-approval falls through. Call us at 330-758-7542 to learn more. Alcova Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID number 40508. Michael Sweigert, NMLS ID number 1240868. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Terms and conditions apply. All loans subject to credit approval. Now sit back, scroll through Instagram, keep overstimulating yourself, and enjoy your host, Michael Sweigert.
Man, the last time we had a solo podcast was the first one, I think, actually. That was the first episode. And since we revamped it, podcast, and I don't like it. I don't like it because Aaron brings a lot of good insight, and Aaron tends to get me riled up pretty good too. So it's nobody's fault but my own. I guess I would say that the reason why Aaron isn't here, he has some obligations, scheduling conflicts. We recorded, and my laptop, I come in this morning, and my laptop is completely wiped to the point where like I had to like sign in like I just bought it. So whatever the update was that my computer did without my permission, or whatever happened when it was rendering everything last night, not great, right? So here we are. But like I said in the beginning, the intro, my dad's interview was fun. It was special to me. It was the most inappropriate interview that I think we've done so far. Or he was like the most inappropriate guest, which I don't know. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, but it was it was a lot of fun. It was I think maybe you can see. Well, I feel like we don't look alike. I always say I'm the mailman still, but maybe the same nose or something. I don't know, but he's been in sales his entire life. Where I've got my never settle and continue to learn and be better and continue making yourself better mindset came from him. So he's always been learning. He's been in the public sector as well as the fire chief. So he's got a good story, and he gave a lot of good insight to whether you're looking at getting in sales or looking at applying for a new job or anything. I mean, he had some good insight. So make sure you stick around for that. And I really do a good job of making fun of him a lot. So that is I'm really good at making fun of Big Don. I just really am. It's probably the thing I'm best at. So I tried to be as nice as I could. And I felt bad for Aaron. He was fighting for his life, like I said, but it's a good interview. So make sure you stick around for that. But little bit of a blessing in disguise, the fact that my computer decided to die and not work anymore, because I wanted to take just a couple minutes and talk about what's going on with interest rates, because I made a clip this last week, and that was probably the most interacted with clip that I've had in a while from the last podcast, where I said, yeah, rates have not gotten better. They've gotten worse, actually, substantially worse. And the reason is, well, actually, right now, 1 + 2 = fish. That's the only explanation I can give of what's happening with rates. But why people are so startled is because they're watching the news. So Aaron brought up in the last podcast, why are our agents or consumers sitting here thinking like, well, mortgage rates are going down? When I've said it a billion times that mortgage rates and the Fed's rates are not related, but they're correlated. And right now, they're just not even, they don't even know they exist. Like, they don't even know each other exist. Mortgage rates continue to increase. And there's a lot of determining factors as to why. The biggest being we're seeing the 10-year treasuries continue to increase in value, which, I mean, you can interpret that how you want to. But what that means is the 10-year treasury, this is a very, very, very watered down explanation as to why we're going to see mortgage rates continue to increase. Okay. This is, so if you are, if you're a financial advisor, or if you're somebody who, day trader, or even if you're somebody who works directly with aggregators and mortgage-backed securities, just swipe on by. Don't listen to this video. This is for the average Joe, the consumer that has absolutely no idea why rates are going up when the Feds are cutting rates. So right now, we're seeing a 10-year treasury bond. I think it's at, what was that, 4 point, I want to say, it's close to 4.5. Hold on, I have it pulled up. 4.45 as of right now is where the 10-year treasury is trading at. I am going to use these juvenile numbers just to give you an idea of exactly why rates are going up. Okay, I'm reiterating that again. This is not trading advice. This is not financial advice. So I am a lender. I am a mortgage loan officer. I can give you interest you have to pay back. But when it comes to day trading, when it comes to any sort of trades, financial advice, please reach out to a licensed financial advisor. That is not me. But the 10-year treasury is what we typically, that's what we highlight when we're looking at mortgage rates. And the 10-year treasury being at 4.45, let's just say 4.5. Let's just say 4.5 for easy math, okay? A treasury bond is exactly that. It's one of those bonds. You remember when you were growing up, so maybe a family member bought you a bond with your, and it matures in whatever, 2, 5, 10, 30 years, whatever it is. Those bonds are guaranteed by the U.S. government, and there was a certain return, a certain yield. Okay, you're going to hear that word all the time. There's a certain yield that that particular bond pays out, and every bond, depending on when it was purchased, is different. So that money is essentially guaranteed by the U.S. government. The only way that you cannot collect that bond and the yield once it matures is if the United States government no longer exists. Okay, so if I was to ask you, hey, is that bond risky or is that a pretty safe bet? You would say that's the safest bet they make, right? If the U.S. government cannot pay out, I mean, do we really care what the U.S. dollar, I mean, do we even care about money at that point? Because it would be, if the government isn't able to pay out bonds because it doesn't exist or doesn't have the money, who cares about a U.S. dollar? At that point, you probably should have bought some gold or ammunition or food or something. I have no idea. But that is the zero risk. That would be a risk on the scale of risk. That would be zero. Then you have mortgage-backed securities, okay? So what they do is they take every single mortgage and they bundle, not every single mortgage, but 95% of them, I believe. I have to look at the number, but let's just say most of the mortgages out there on the market, what they'll do is they will bundle them together, and they call that a mortgage-backed security. And then when they have thousands of mortgages together, the yield, we remember what yield is, the interest, the money that somebody is going to make off of it, goes up. And that yield is then paid out to investors, hedge funds, whatever, part of annuities or retirement accounts, pensions, all that fun stuff. That would have a slight risk to it, right? So if somebody doesn't pay their mortgage and there's a foreclosure, you're no longer getting that monthly interest off of it, right? So every single month when somebody makes their mortgage payment, if it's a certain percentage, that's the money going out that is going to the hedge fund to be paid, or it's going to the pension or whatever. Whoever owns that mortgage-backed security is then making that yield off of it, just like a treasury bond. But since there is a risk associated with a mortgage-backed security, if people stop paying their mortgages and that mortgage-backed security fails, then obviously nobody gets paid, and it's not great. And go see what happened in 2007, 2008. So if there's risk associated with a mortgage-backed security, what they have to do, they being the aggregators, the people that own all of these mortgages that are trying to make this mortgage-backed security to sell, right, to sell off to investors so they can collect that monthly yield, they need to raise the yield that is being paid off on those to entice people to want to purchase these mortgage-backed securities, right? So let's say a treasury, like we said, is at 4.5%. It's not 4.5%, but I'm just saying, let's say the interest rate that you're going to get, the yield you're going to get is 4.5% on a 10-year treasury, and there's zero risk. If you have an instrument, if you have another investment that has an increased amount of risk, no matter how much that risk is, I have no idea why my camera is doing this, guys, but it's just been a fun day here at the Bearded Banker podcast. So there we go. There we go. I have no idea this is why we need an intern. This is why we need an intern. So if you have an increased risk, if you have as opposed to the 10-year treasury, right? Something that is very, very simple and safe and has zero risk. They need to increase the rates that you are paying on a mortgage, the yield, so they can entice people, the investors, to purchase these mortgage-backed securities. And that is why they are seeing rates go up. Why we see mortgage rates go up when the 10-year treasury goes up. I'm struggling here, guys. I'm so sorry. When the 10-year treasury goes up, that is when we start to see mortgage rates go up, because it is a safe investment. Now, I'm not saying there are a few times where we've seen the value of the 10-year treasury go up and mortgage rates not be affected. There's parts through history where that has happened, but it's safe to say when the 10-year treasury goes up, that's when you see mortgage rates go up. So yes, the feds have lowered rates. Just crazy that I'm too close to the camera, guys. Just crazy that I'm too close to the camera. Yes, we have seen the feds lower rates. No, mortgage rates have not gone down. So that's important to know. I mean, I'm sorry for the camera, guys. I really am. But so that is why we're going to continue to see rates go up. And we are, we really, like I said, it's 1 + 2 = fish. Nobody really has any idea kind of where the rates are going to go. We've been saying all the historical data keeps pointing to the fact that rates are going to go down. But now with this new administration coming in, the Treasury is rocking and rolling. The 10-year Treasury is rocking and rolling. And we don't know where the end is at all. And like I said this on the last podcast, and this is what I think that the Trump administration, if they would even, like, if anybody has any, I don't know, barking power to give to the Trump administration, it's look at the money that is sitting in FHFA when the refinance boom happened. When the refinance boom was happening, they charged a mandatory 50 basis points on every single refinance transaction, and they collected those funds. Take those funds, because they have not been operating at a loss, because even though inventory has been high and inventory has been low and rates have been high, we still have seen mortgage origination not drop off. Now, it's dropped off from 2020 and 2021 levels because there was so much refinances, but the purchase industry is still is still just as potent as it was and still performing the way that it was. And the cash out refinances were also still performing the same they were. So FHFA has not been operating as a loss. They have an abundance of money sitting that they collected from all of those originations in 2020 and 2021 when they were doing the refinances. Take that money, buy some mortgage-backed securities, and encourage investors to get back in on the mortgage-backed security train like they did in 2020. That Barry Habib, our boy Barry Habib over here, like he told the that he told the feds to do, and they bought treasuries. I'm sorry, they didn't buy treasuries. They bought mortgage-backed securities, and that helped. It dramatically lowered the interest rates down, and that's where you guys took advantage of that. But they need to do that even just to alleviate some of the pressure that we're having with interest rates, because that is the issue. The affordability issue when it comes to buying a home inflation has skyrocketed, obviously, and homeowners insurance is not coming back down. Where I used to see $50 a month in homeowners insurance, now you're seeing almost $150 a month. So now we have a $100 increase in monthly payment just from homeowners insurance. Every single municipality went and reassessed the property values because they saw what was happening in the past 4 years with property values. And guess what? Every single municipality is now collecting more taxes, and every single house's tax burden has gone up substantially. Where I used to literally right in Northeast Ohio, I could see a $150,000 house used to have $150 a month in taxes. Now that number is almost $300 a month. And then you also run into the interest rate problem, and obviously where we see appreciation in homes. So values have continued to go up, and they continue to go up. So therefore, loan amounts are higher. You have higher interest rates. You have higher property taxes. You have higher homeowners insurance. There's no end in sight. So you could argue that, they need, anybody needs, the first-time home buyers, they need the $25,000. Like that was the one the administration that ended up losing. That's what they wanted to do. Down payment money will not help with affordability. It'll actually make affordability get worse. So what we need to do is we need to look at, hey, that money that we have sitting there in the treasury doing nothing, what can we do? We can buy mortgage-backed securities, right? Once the value of mortgage-backed securities go up, once they, we see the pricing of those go up, the 5.5% coupon goes up, and we get rates back into a healthy range, which I argue a healthy range is mid-5s to low 6s. If we can get in a healthy range there, that will help with some affordability, and I think we'll start to see folks get into homes, and I think we'll start to see the market settle out and be a little bit more healthy. So I had a lot of people that wanted me to reach out and talk about rates a little bit more in depth and why we're seeing what we're seeing. So I'm a little bit of a blessing in disguise, except I'm not sure why the camera keeps getting fuzzy. It's driving me nuts. But anyway, so that's it. Again, any questions, please feel free to comment. We're super interactive on our Facebook page and try to be on YouTube. Spotify obviously doesn't let you interact too much. But if you have questions about interest rates, be interactive with us on TikTok and Facebook. Like, absolutely. We love responding. We like to make fun of you as well. So we probably, we'll join in on the making fun part. And speaking of making fun, let's get to the Big Don interview, shall we?
Well, I know when you guys had the one over listing the sales movies.
Yeah.
And I just used Tommy Boy yesterday during our sales meeting because the sales manager said, well, which books would you recommend? And so I'm like, well, if you want a production book, if you want a manufacturing company, The Goal is the best. And if you want a sales book, anything from Zig Ziglar is probably pretty good.
Wow.
And
what are you, 50?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, yeah.
Okay.
I could get a hell of a good look at a T-bone steak by sticking my head up a bull's ass.
Then we talked about movies, and I clearly stated. And the worst thing is that movie came out, I think, in 95.
Somewhat, 95,
and
96.
Intern?
The girl that works with us was born in 97. So she'd never seen it. Didn't know.
Wow.
I said, you need to watch Tommy Boy.
Wow.
Yeah, I quote it all the time. I was surprised that he had it as low as he did.
Yeah.
Low.
Yeah.
He put it at 2. I thought he had a 2. I thought he was going to go 1.
I had to. Just long term, I wanted to save the one spot. I didn't know what else was coming, but
Glenn Rose. Have you ever seen that one? That's one with one of the Baldwin kids in it.
Yeah.
Not Alec William.
yeah.
There's one line in that when they're at the beginning. They have the sales meeting when he first shows up at the real estate office, and the guy goes to get coffee and says, "No coffee. Coffee's for closers."
Coffee's for closers. Which makes no sense.
That's where that famous line came
You would
from.
want to give coffee to the non-closers so they close.
Right.
Right. That would be like you give them caffeine to get them up and running.
Right.
I guess.
That's what I would think.
But it was he was considering it a reward.
Well,
To get coffee, get free coffee from the office.
Yeah.
You're gonna.
Well, okay. So, what's your favorite sales movie then?
Huh?
What's your favorite sales movie? I mean, do you remember the 5 that we gave?
Huh?
Do you remember?
I
the 5?
don't remember all of them.
Which I don't even
I've
know.
slept twice since then.
Which I don't even know if you've seen all. You've seen Pursuit of Happiness. You probably cried like a baby.
I'm dead because I'm emotional like that.
What was one of the dumbest movies he cried at? That was always my.
Well, your
favorite.
mom always made fun of me.
My favorite would be we would be sitting in the living room and we would be watching a movie and I would just know that it's kind of a little bit emotional
Because it had to do with a dad dying.
Well,
or a dad
it's called
loving
Lion
their
King.
kids.
What? Well, who didn't? You didn't cry at Lion King?
I did
No,
cry
I
like
was 4
it.
when it came out. Of course, I didn't cry at Lion King.
Mufasa.
We had actually a very heated conversation a week ago with everybody in the office, which we should have recorded, of the best Disney soundtracks.
Yeah.
And Lion King is up there. But
Right.
so I
as
actually,
far as soundtrack goes.
yeah, but it's got to be animated.
Right.
And I can't be just like a, So
I mean, Aladdin's soundtrack is pretty good because I can almost sing all those.
Well, you picked Mulan.
Mulan. And then we listened to it and then we were
We
like,
We listened to like a song and a half.
Mulan.
Yeah.
Bangers only in that thing.
Yeah.
And then the orchestral music's unreal in it too, which
Yeah, the musical part
Yeah.
is really good. Yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
It's got one real banger, Be a Man, and then the other instrumental orchestral music.
I think they're all bangers. I think they're all bangers.
I mean,
Yeah.
Mulan.
Well, so anyway, thanks for joining us, Daddy.
One lucky bug, Mulan.
You are one lucky bug.
You're one lucky bug.
Yeah, because we could
Sit
actually
beside me.
right. We could actually
Eddie
do it.
Murphy was like phenomenal in that
Yeah,
one.
and well, and he's
Yeah.
great in Shrek too. So like
Yeah,
we're talking
that
Yeah,
paved
yeah.
the way for Shrek, probably.
yeah, maybe.
Was Mulan before Shrek?
Yeah,
I thought so.
Yeah. Shrek would have been like probably like 2000.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe Mulan wasn't.
Ooh, I've got to look that up.
Intern.
Yeah, we better look it up.
Intern. Anyway, all right, Daddy, thanks for
crazy.
joining us. And we'll have to tell everybody because I don't ever call you Dad. I've never called you Dad ever. I call you Big Don.
Big Don since the 8th grade.
Do you know this story actually? Because
No, I've always wondered why.
Aaron's never heard the story.
This is a great story.
Why?
I mean, yeah, because still to this day, and even my kids will call him Big
8th
Don.
grade DC trip.
Okay.
For Norway, right?
Yeah.
So
that's where I went to high
one
school.
of the advantages that I had as an EMT, being an emergency medical pre-hospital, is that I always got picked for all the great chaperone trips. So, but I had to pay for it. So I get paid.
mean, yeah.
Well, I go on our Mandy's 8th grade trip, and then of course he's coming up like 3 or 4 years later, 8th grade trip, and I get
My sister.
Mandy's your
Nobody
sister.
knows who Mandy is.
Okay, sorry.
I mean, I'm
No,
not
I know, it's
bashing. I'm just saying my sister.
See how I get my balls busted all the time? So anyhow,
Not even started yet.
right. So anyhow, what do we had? We had David Pope in our group. Well, there was like 3 other kids that I coached either against or for in baseball.
Okay.
When he was playing baseball. So we get these 3 kids and boys that are pretty decent. And they said we're gathering like at 5 o'clock in the morning. I mean, we're all sleepy. And
It was Mark Champ.
Mark Sham.
He's the one that said it because he comes up to me in school. He's like, "Your dad's gonna be a chaperone." I mean, you remember 8th grade? Yeah,
I do, yeah.
So, and he comes up and he says, "I'm gonna call your dad Big Don." I was like, "Okay." And then so in the morning, because this is taking you an hour to tell.
Hey.
we're rolling the tape here, right? I pay by the minute.
Does it cost? Them?
Yeah.
So,
The minute.
I mean, it's not like you're running reel to reel. I mean, for goodness sake.
That's why
you're not gonna
it
have to
costs
change
so
out the
much
reel to
money.
reel.
Digital costs money.
Well,
what are you,
go to
80?
8-track. Try 8-track.
What are you, 90? Jesus.
so
So anyhow,
harsh.
Mark Shamp comes up. He says, "Hey, you mind if we call you Big Don?" And I said, "I don't care what you call me. Just don't call me late for dinner."
Yeah. So then, okay, this is great because then we go. No, yeah, because 8th grade or the DC trips at the end of the year. Yeah,
Yeah.
So then on the way home and down on this bus, the whole bus is just chanting "Big Don,"
The whole time.
We started this big chant of Big Don. It's hilarious.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's why we call him Big Don, and that's why still to this
I mean,
day.
still to this day,
To this day,
I'm
people-
not dad to anybody.
That's a term of endearment. See, we could never call my grandpa. We'd always call him Bob.
Yeah.
He didn't like grandpa.
Oh, really?
It's just there's people like that.
All right. Well,
Anyhow,
so thanks for joining Big Don. That's
Yep,
great.
yep.
I was going to put Big Don up on
it's
the
nice to
event,
have the
so-
evening over here. I'm not doing it during the day.
Right. I don't know why you would say that, and I have to blot that out. What do you think? Can't get in trouble. But anyway, I want to go back because you talk. This is actually one of my favorite books. You ever read this?
I have not.
Tribes. Recommend it. I recommend it. Really good.
All right.
Really, really good. It actually talks about how all of us are part of a tribe and you're part of different tribes and every tribe needs a leader of their tribe. So, because I've read like, right. Wait,
Oh,
I mean,
God.
well, yeah,
Well,
now I'm
okay,
going to
can't
bleep
do
that
that,
out. Yeah,
savages.
jeez, gonna have to. Jeez. That's been 5 minutes. 5 minutes. You were the guest. I didn't think I'd have to bleep out anything.
yeah.
But all right, so no, because I've read a handful of those. I can't read books. I know you had. I have a bunch of your books in there actually.
Can't even read.
Like, you can't even read.
I had a bunch of books in the office at home.
One of my favorite ones is Who Moved My Cheese. It's so. Have you?
Yeah,
Who Moved
that one's
My
a good one.
Cheese? Right.
I have
So
not
and it's
read
just
that
like it's a 45-minute read. It's pretty. I'll just tell you what it is. It's about these two two groups.
Oh
of
wait,
mice.
yeah, Ryan read that to us one time.
read
God,
it
that
to
was
you.
horrible.
Wait, no,
yeah.
no.
Was it like kindergarten?
No.
You were sitting in.
Yeah,
No,
no,
it was
on
worse.
a
It was
Zoom
like
call.
staff
It was on a
meeting.
Zoom call. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
it
on a
was-
Zoom
He
call?
read the whole book.
He's never gonna hear this part. No, yeah, it was brutal. Like I like texted him through this. I'm like, yeah, you got to.
Yeah, it was. I tuned out.
But he just read the book. Yeah.
But it's a good book.
Yeah. So it's
I'm sure it would have been.
Here, I can read for you right now. There's 2 sets of mice, and there's cheese outside where they live every single day. And then one day the cheese is gone. And one set of mice that says, well, the cheese is always here. I'm going to stay here because the cheese, this is
gonna come
what we
back.
know. And it's always here. And the other set of mice
Comfortable.
said,
You're
I'm going to
comfortable.
leave and go find the other cheese,
Challenge.
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So then the first set leaves and never hear from them again, and the second set stays and they starve and they get desperate and they just start freaking out, and then finally they move to the new cheese at the end. But there's already all the good spots taken. There's barely any cheese left. But the moral of the story is, if there is no more cheese, if you have getting out of your comfort zone, but don't be so comfortable because sometimes the cheese is not going to always be there.
Yep.
And you might have to change the way that you work, transact, all that fun stuff. But
Anything in life.
no, yeah,
Anything
absolutely.
in life.
Absolutely. Ryan read that. We're getting an alert to lock right now, so that's great. Just,
Good.
no, that's bad. That's bad. So mortgage rates. Oh, well, we'll talk about a little mortgages in the podcast. Nope, we never talk about it with our guests. I guess that's not true. We talk about it
Sometimes.
never this in depth, but ever since the Fed's cut rates, interest rates have gone up 0.75%.
Wow. the
We've
opposite
had
way.
what 4 alerts to lock in the past 5 days.
We've had 4 just in the past 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Where just the uncertainty of the market, the election, they have no idea what's going to go on. You have one presidential candidate whose monetary policy is probably going to stimulate the economy. Tariffs will help with inflation, which is why he's saying tariffs. But and then the other side, they have absolutely no.
They don't have a plan, do they?
Well, no, we don't get political on this.
Okay.
We don't get political on this.
You have to bleep that one out.
No.
No.
You can be political all you want.
Yeah.
You can, but yeah, the other side is that their economic policy is, which is the uncertainty because the market's baking in a Donald Trump win, but they also know that maybe we saw in 2016 where he didn't.
Oh,
or
he
they-
won in
or
2016.
they didn't think he was going to win,
And he did.
right? So they're just
2020 was.
yeah, basically right now everybody's just pulling their money out of the market and sitting and waiting for a week, and we should see better rates. But yeah, no, it's not been a fun 3 weeks
Yeah.
for
Oh, wow.
mortgages. Yeah, I mean we were talking mid 7s again, like low to mid 7s, where
Really?
we were just had a little refi boom of low 6s, even some 5s. I mean,
Wow.
we were locking at 5.99 a month ago.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been fun. But any hoozle, yeah. Well, thanks for joining us
Okay.
again.
Take
I
six.
just
Thanks thank you, son, for taking the time to.
Yeah, I
interview
just
me.
in my head I was like, this will be some good content. You're right. I do like to poke fun a little bit at you.
No.
We'll wait. But you also have a pretty decent story. You have good stories. You've been in sales all your life.
I have.
Which I would argue everybody's in sales.
Everybody.
Every single job is sales.
I've always said, in order to get married, you got married, right?
Yeah, once.
Did you have to talk her into? I mean, you had to sell yourself to her.
Yeah, it was pretty
Yeah,
easy
right.
sell. Yeah.
Really?
Look at him.
I mean,
Wow.
what a. Yeah, I guess you're right.
Up here. My eyes are up here.
But you're always in sales.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
And unfortunately, what I was talking to our sales meeting yesterday, I said about we're conditioned as in 3rd grade, 4th grade to go out and sell scholastic stuff or sell this stuff. And then all of a sudden, by the time you get to 7th or 8th grade, you're burnt out from trying to sell stuff. So the good people don't really come out in sales because even though they've been selling all their life because they're selling candy bars for the baseball team or popcorn for the Boy Scouts or whatever, cookies for our drug dealer, our Girl Scouts are selling the damn cookies everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, even the Boy Scouts now, I would, we were in Cub Scouts, we were in Boy Scouts, and it's like I would always support them. But just the other day, I had this little brat come up to me, and I'm saying this because it got me kind of heated because we're talking about sales. He comes up, knocks on my door to my house.
Yeah.
He's holding this thing of popcorn. First thing he says, $20.
Oh, they don't even teach
they're
them how to sell
expensive.
anymore.
Yeah.
Well, no,
it
I
has
don't
to
give
do
a
with-
he
crap
said the
about,
whole-
No, I don't give a crap that how expensive it was. That's all he said.
Oh, he
Because
didn't say, would you like to buy some
Yeah, he
popcorn?
didn't say, hello, my name is so-and-so from Troop
Oh.
what and what. We're selling these to support such and such. $20. Slam the door in his face.
So here's the thing, though. There's
How
two
old
sides.
was he? He slammed the door and was like
there's-
11-year-old kid.
No, it was like 5.
Okay.
He was like 5.
Is that my son?
No, I bought it.
Yeah.
I bought it. I didn't slam the door in his face.
He was
but
Tiger Cub.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like, no, you gotta. I said, word of the wise. You
Yeah.
know, say more
Well,
when you're selling.
There's two sides
Problem,
to every story.
nobody probably taught him what to say or what
Well,
to do.
I tried, but that's why again, as I said, I didn't slam the door in his face, but I gave him. I said, okay, let me get my money. I said, hey, word of advice: when you're selling your popcorn, I would start off by maybe introducing yourself and trying to explain what you're selling, not just say $20.
Well, usually when I go to the bar at night and I try to sell myself, I say, my name's Aaron Howe.
Free drinks all night.
Yeah.
Then they
Well,
run
so
away.
what I want to, what Aaron left out, there's two. This is important actually because there's two sides to every story. So Aaron did answer the door with like absolutely no clothes on, and he had an axe and he was bloody. So,
Oh, yeah.
It's my house.
You can be
And he's
however
like,
you want.
sue me for being Halloween ready. I mean, yeah.
I mean, yeah, this
I thought it was
in July.
trick or treat. Why didn't kids say
I don't
trick
know
or
if we
treat?
can say it. Yeah. It's trick or treat. So they're asking me for candy. Yeah.
Lord.
Well, no, okay, but even if you're just working at a 9-to-5 job in HR, you're still selling.
Well, you gotta sell the company to-
well, you're
to any
selling to your
employee.
boss. You're selling
Yeah.
to your staff members
Yep,
if you have employees underneath you. I mean,
Interactions every day.
Yeah.
is selling.
so, and then I'll be honest with you. I think the one thing that I took from like things that you've said in the sales world, because you just got back into the sales world.
Right.
And the biggest, what we talked about, I'm like, it's changed completely.
It has. Since COVID,
Oh, you have no
Oh,
idea.
it's
yeah.
amazing.
I mean, it's changed
I
in
mean,
the past 2 years. Just
not even
from-
get face-to-face meetings. And,
Oh, yeah, no.
Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but I take as briefly and as quickly as you can.
What are we doing to ourselves?
Are you getting ahead of yourself?
What?
What?
No, I wanted to
turning
start
weird.
back because I've always wanted to hear your career progression.
Okay.
So take me
You
through.
mean like as many underwears as I had on? As so many jobs?
How does
no,
that-
No, I'll see.
Underwater. Under what?
What?
Underwear. Oh, yeah.
Underwear.
Oh, yeah.
What are you eating under there?
I can't take two of you.
What are
I
you eating
really
under
can't take two of you.
So,
I can't.
Good.
This is
no, that's,
horrible.
I mean,
Yeah. So, okay, you graduated from high school.
I
Within
did.
30
I
seconds.
went to one semester at college
Okay.
at Wayne.
All right.
And decided that I was going to go become an EMT firefighter with volunteer department, right? But I also had to have a job. So ended up, my uncle worked up at Merriweather Foam, which is in Barberton, and they made gaskets, cushions. They made spacers and vibration dampening stuff.
Oh, my.
So I went there to work.
Okay.
And ended up becoming a quality manager there because they had been purchased by a new company and completely new management. So they get rid of all the old, bring in all the new. So I leave there, go down and I started actually an insurance agency for Farmers Insurance. So I started selling then. And in the quality field, we had auditors coming in from like Chrysler, GM, and Ford. So we had to sell them on what we were doing to control the quality of our product. So any interaction, to Michael's point, is any interaction you have is a sales interaction. I mean, it really is. And people buy from people they like, correct? Absolutely. So you need to have knowledge, but they also need to feel confident and like you
Need to have that
before they
relationship,
buy
yeah.
before they buy from you. Okay, so in the quality manager's field, as these auditors to come in, I needed to get them to like me. So that's what we did, and we ended up doing a tremendous job. We increased quality, reduced the scrap, all that crap. So I started an insurance agency for 2 years with Farmers Insurance, built it up to about $25,000 or $30,000 a year in commission, but it wasn't enough to live on. And unfortunately, Michael and his siblings wanted to eat and have a roof over their head.
Selfish.
So I had to go find another job. So I got offered a quality manager's job down at Red Head Brass, down in Shreve, down there for a couple years. Assistant production manager, quality, and Merriweather calls me up. Hey, we have a sales position open. You want to come back and be a sales guy? And it was just a territory sales guy. I said, yeah, sure, I'll come back up. So I did that for 3 years, landed a big piece of business. I mean, again, it was building relationships with the people, but now I had knowledge of that, all the processes that they use. So I could, somebody came to me with a problem, I could say, yeah, we can solve it doing this. Okay. So then I was able to close more business because I had that knowledge. Plus, they liked me. People, I mean, not everybody likes me. So, I mean, some people are going to be watching this and going to say, no, I hate that guy. Yeah, so they're going to click off.
Anytime somebody says, are you Don Sweigert's son? I'm like,
yeah, right? Depends. Do you like him or
yeah,
not?
right. Like,
right?
well, what's your opinion on him?
Right. So then the sales manager left, the director of sales and marketing. So I moved up into that role because the owner and I got along really well in Meriwether. So I left there and then went to another sales job as just a territory sales. Well, then I had a guy hunting me down from a company in Cleveland, and that was a national sales manager job. And I ended up taking that company from like a $4 million company to over $7 million in about 2.5 years. Wow. And that was all based on, I went out and I built a independent sales network across the United States. So I was flying all around from East Coast to West Coast into Canada and just building that sales structure, that sales team. And that went all right until the owner and I were really good. He lived in New York City, but he ran this company out of Cleveland, and he decided he wanted to retire, so he brought in a president to run the day-to-day operations. And this guy didn't like me because I didn't have a college degree. So he went through and got rid of all the people in the company. And there was a couple different divisions that worked out of the office in Cleveland. He got rid of anybody who did not have a college degree, kept everybody who had a college degree. So,
that's a stupid thing.
well, yeah, but I told them, I said, well, if you don't want me to go work for your competitor, which was out in Elkhart, Indiana, which I would have been out there in a heartbeat, you need to pay me your severance package. And they did. So I was paid for a year. So I still able to put bread and milk on the table and put a roof over Michael and his siblings'
Yeah, thanks
head.
for that.
I do like milk, actually. Big milk fan.
Yeah,
big milk fan.
Could tell.
Yep.
You know what?
Yeah,
Your
okay.
Uncle Chris did a survey on that milk thing, right?
What?
What? Huh? No? Okay, we're going to talk about that.
I was like, wow.
This is a family show, right?
Yeah, family show, kids show, kids show,
All
kids
right.
show.
So anyhow, I'll tell you that off air.
Okay.
So they pay me. I picked up a couple odd jobs. Went back to Meriwether actually for about 6 months as a 1099 employee just to help them through. They had 2 girls that were pregnant back to back, and not because of me. I need to clarify that.
Which even after his vasectomy, he still had my brother. So,
Yeah, well,
you know
there
what I
is
mean?
that.
Yeah, you gotta
There's
be
some
careful.
strong swimming sperm.
Got
there.
it.
They broke right through. So
What? The oldest dude we've had on the podcast, and this is what we got. Okay, all right, keep going. No offense, old guy.
No, leave it in. This will give us all some insight.
That'll be good. Yeah, no,
as
that's
to
good.
What, why you are what you are.
Why
are you?
All right, keep going.
So yeah, where was I?
I don't know.
Sperm.
Sperm. You were- yeah. I mean, this thing is taking a wild ride. Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
So I end up I helped them out for about 6 months. Ended up getting into insurance again. So that would have been the second time I was in the insurance business. Damn. And then I got offered a job at a fabricator, die cutter of rubber and foams and gasket material in Medina, and worked for them for a couple of years. And then I was recruited by a guy up in Buffalo to start his Midwest territory. He had nothing. And that was a great company. They were a world-class company, Seal and Design. They were about 25, 27 million when I started there. And I didn't do as good a job as what I wanted to do. It was a little more difficult when you're 220 miles away to be able to take somebody up and show them a tour of the factory. But they were actually a world-class organization. I still am friends with the owner. They're now probably a $60 million company because he's been able to grow and buy through acquisitions. And so and they were a die cutter, gasket house. And
I like how he throws these words in there, like we know what they're talking about. Like die cutter, cool.
Yeah,
when I think of a die cutter, I think of like a tie-dye shirt.
Ah,
Like,
okay.
like that's kind of what.
Yeah, well, a tie-dye cutter. Yeah. No, okay. All
right, carry on.
So I was up there for 5 years, and then we parted ways. Ended up for a heartbeat at a rubber molding company up in Rootstown that I'll never ever. Just the worst experience of my life. But I was going through the process of getting hired at Akron Brass. Akron Brass in Worcester. A lot of people probably watching this know we're where that's at, I hope. Well, no, this is worldwide. Everybody watches this worldwide. So
That's right.
anyhow, IDEX,
Digress.
IDEX Fire and Safety is the name of the company, you know, the corporate company, but it's selling firefighter equipment. So I'd spent as a volunteer fireman, and I was appointed the volunteer or the part-time fire chief in Rittman in 06. And so it was something that I had passion about, you know, selling firefighting equipment. I could go around, I could teach about all the water flow equipment, any of the other valves that they sold. So Akron Brass is, you know, well known, been over 100 years. They'd been in business. So that was a good selling opportunity and a teaching, because I like to teach. Again, people buy from who they like and who have knowledge. So, and then I was offered a full-time chief's position in Rittman when they merged the fire and EMS. And I decided that I was going to leave the sales role. In 2019, I became the fire chief in Rittman, and was that for 5 years and retired. And actually, it was August, but my last day was May 9th. And I decided I needed to get another job, so all I know is sales. So a guy that I know that used to be one of my customers said, hey, why don't you come up and sell rubber O-rings? They're a distributor up in Cleveland. So that's how I ended up back in sales.
Well, there you go.
Wow.
Roundabout.
That was a long story.
You couldn't tell he's a salesman at all. Yeah, no. So, all right, so let's go back. So you have had a ton of people throughout your life give you advice. When you talk about not having a college degree, I think we're starting to see a massive shift in like where employers don't care about your college degree because, well, I mean, it sounds a little mean, but a nutless monkey could go get a college degree now,
right.
Like,
Back in the day, I'm sure what people looked at is you made a commitment for 4 years to get a degree, and you finished it.
And before the 07, 08, before the crash, like going to college not everybody went to college, right? Mm-hmm. And then what did we have to go do? We had to go to college because there was no jobs to get right out of high school. There was you have to go specify in something. So it was either spend 4 years doing nothing or go into the military or go to college. Yep. So the biggest generation to ever walk the planet, the millennial generation, all went to college.
Right.
So then it flooded the job market with everybody getting 4-year degrees. And I'll be honest, we've talked about it. I learned like time management from college. I learned, I don't even know. Maybe that's it. I could speak better and type better because of, I guess. But you had deadlines too, because you had deadlines. So you were taught how to hit deadlines. Learn how to research, maybe. But other than that, I mean, it's just a piece of paper.
Well,
and what I did wrong was college should be about networking. And this is what I always tell anybody going into college, if they're in high school or even they're starting in college, the best thing about college that I didn't do was network with people that are influential or hiring, they own a company or they work here. And like when I went to Walsh, a lot of my professors were people that worked in the private sector.
They're already,
right? And very influential people. And I just went to class, did my homework, turned my shit in, and left when I should have interacted with them.
Built relationships
with
them.
And that's where I messed up, because that's where, like, no job. Well, this is actually a good question. Go back to your sales job, because I asked you 2 questions. So first, let's do this one. How many jobs...
Scatterbrain.
Did you... Yeah. How many... Adderall hasn't kicked in. Yeah. How many jobs have you actually applied for? And how many jobs did you get because of who you knew?
But that's a great question, because I've applied even like over the last year. When I knew that I was going to retire, I mean, I probably since May, I started doing it in March because I knew I was going to retire in May. I probably applied for 200 jobs.
Yeah. Wow.
And I got hired by the guy who knew me, Seal and Design, when he was pursuing me. And I hadn't applied for many jobs, but
he sounds like a hot chick when he was pursuing me.
Yeah, I gave out my number.
Oh,
actually, I gave Aaron's number out. So he was pursuing Aaron.
Never
Quit calling me. Who is this? I won't send that picture again.
He knew me. The Gasco people, they knew me. Yeah. Even the Akron Brass. Their requirement was that you had to have a college degree. When I applied for that job online, it kicked my application out immediately. And I got an email that said, you do not qualify because you don't have a college degree. And I had the vice president of sales who knew me call me from Worcester, and he said, like within 5 minutes, hey, you got a wrong email. That's we're going to interview you. You're one of our top candidates. Mm-hmm. And they hired me and I didn't have a college degree. Well, the guy's Seal and Design. I drive 4 hours to Buffalo to have this interview.
Great wings.
And,
Wing Nuts. That's the one. Did you ever go to Wing Nuts? In
No,
Buffalo?
no.
That's one that Barstool like endorses. Like it's like
Really?
it's like
No.
in like a VFW hall.
Okay.
Like literally when you
Yeah.
walk, like it looks like And I guess they're the
We
best
never.
wings.
I never went.
Road
there,
trip.
so. Sounds like a good 4 hours. Well, I was going to go up to the football game up there when the Browns played up there, but there was like 8 feet of snow.
Well, and then
remember? Then we went up and watched it up
watched
in Detroit. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No names, please.
So
But
yeah. So anyhow, drive 4.5 hours up there. I sit down with him and we go through the whole interview. He and I had a great interaction. He takes me out in the shop, walks me through the shop. Now I'm working for a competitor of his.
Mm-hmm.
He's not worried about taking me out in the shop because he's that confident in his ability to service his customers that he's not worried about a competitor walking through his shop. Yeah. So anyhow, which is really cool. But we go back in and sit down in the conference room, and I said, I forgot to tell you, I don't have a degree. And he sat back in his chair. Now, this guy's about my age. He went to a college out here at Ohio Northern. He was a wrestler. And so he's he's very competitive, and he leans back and he goes, oh, man. He goes, I only hire people with college degrees, but he goes, I'm going to have you take a test. So he brings out the Wonderlic test, which is what they used back in the day, and I don't know if they still do. Gave all the NFL quarterbacks.
Still do it, but they don't put too much weight into it because, who was it? C.J. Stroud did terrible or something. Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, there's been quarterbacks that have been very successful that did terrible on it, but I still think they can do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, it's an IQ test basically. So he gives me this test. It's a time test, so I only had so much time. I don't know what it was, 20. I've slept twice since then, so I don't know. It was like 20 minutes or so. Go through, answer the best answer of all the questions. He grabs it, takes it back. I sat there probably 10 or 15 minutes by myself in this conference room, thinking, I got to get out of here because it's like 2 in the afternoon, 2:30 in the afternoon. I got a 4-hour drive home. I got to stop at the casino in Erie.
Of course,
because it's on the way.
Well, there's a bathroom in there. Got to pee.
Yeah,
you got to pee somewhere.
Right. So, whoops! I'm playing Mississippi Stud.
Oh no!
Oh shucks!
Oh,
anyhow,
not the Devil's game.
That's what I got. I think I had 4 queens at Presque Isle.
Focus.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Hey,
you know where he gets it, right?
I know.
You know
Wait,
where
4
he
queens.
gets it?
No, wait. What's the
can't
4?
take two
4
of you.
queens are.
Here we go.
That'd be quad.
That's quads are 10 to 1. No, 40 to 1.
40 to 1.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's what I said first. Said first.
The mic was
Yeah,
about
be
to
careful.
fall over.
Be careful. All right, we're balling on a budget here.
Okay. Almost fell over.
There you go. All right.
So anyhow, I'm thinking I need to get out of there. He comes back in. He sits down. He says, "Man, I'm going to hire you." And I said, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'll put together an offer." I said, "But I don't have a college degree." And he goes, "You scored the second highest out of all my people that I hire here. The number one guy that scored the best is my operations manager." He goes, "No, I'm going to," and they did. They offered me a job, man.
Very nice.
But anyhow, so to answer your question, almost every job that I have any job offer I've received, I knew the person that hired me.
And so I've spent, before or during college and then after college in corporate America, because I don't consider what I do corporate America. Not. And my first job out of college, I applied. That was up in east side of Cleveland. That was not the greatest, but I met good people and taught me a lot about sales. Every single job after that I've had was because of who I knew. And I filled out the application after they said, made me an offer. And so even going back to the bank, when I didn't apply for it. I got a phone call from somebody that said, "Hey, who I knew, family member, said you want to get into banking, all this.
Right.
I'd love to have you come in." And then from every single step outside of that, I fill out the application after. Actually, when I first met Ryan, and I was like, "I'm not filling out this application." He's like, "Well, I'll fill it out as much as I can for you." I'm like, "I'm not filling this out." What are you talking
It's ridiculous.
about? Yeah. So no.
So to answer that, there's been hundreds that I've applied for that I didn't even get a call back from, or I got kicked out.
Yeah.
Or the state of Ohio is the worst because I try to get in all the fire marshal jobs that open up. And they take number one, they take forever to even get back to you, if they get back to you.
Yeah.
And then they just kick out and, no, we want another direction.
Well, the worst thing is the government saying we're here to help or, anything efficient. But
Hey, that's a nice looking cowboy hat.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Now you want me to mention it now? Right?
Well, I'm just throwing
Well,
it out
actually,
there,
good news
looks
is
I was looking at it. It looks
you
really
like
nice
it. It's
on
a good
you.
cowboy hat.
It is.
So actually, we'll mention it in the first part of the podcast when Aaron and I record because of the segment we're going to brought to you. But yeah, Cowboy Revolution apparel. And promo code
like
Bearded
that.
Banker.
I guess I have to go buy one.
It's funny how
that promo code.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, 15% off your first order. So don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll make a little commercial. You like it though, huh?
I do.
Yeah, it makes the mullet look nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
Watch that
I
microphone.
was just getting bothered by the mullet. It just got feathered
I
yesterday.
mean, that's a perfect hat for that haircut.
Yeah, because it covers it up.
You're just jealous. Whatever. I got a couple more months to go. I kind of like it. And when I yesterday when I went and got by Shears and Beards, located in Lodi, but making the move to Medina.
Is that Lodi or Lodi?
No, well, it doesn't matter because they're making the move to Medina. November 15th is the target date, and we will do a live podcast.
What day?
There, so November 15th.
Oh, okay.
And Jake was on the podcast.
Yeah, I saw him.
Good friend of the show.
Yeah.
But he was blow drying my hair because now it's long enough. He's got to blow dry it, right? And I feel it wafting in the wind. I was like, what the hell is that?
So
dude?
quick story.
Quick story is he used to blow dry his hair every morning.
So teenager.
Something happened in the 90s.
I'm a
that you had to
teenager,
do,
right?
Yeah.
And I like to part it in the middle and feather it back.
Oh,
and
wow.
it was about. I mean, it was down here. It was in the 80s. Okay, early 80s. And my dad, his grandfather, made fun of me every freaking day, and that's because he had no hair. And he would make fun of me for blow drying. You're a sissy, you're blow drying your hair every day. And so I said something to people at school, and they said, well, no, you got a nice set of hair because it was always feathered back. You know?
Luscious locks.
Do you have
Luscious
any
locks.
pictures of this?
I do. In high school
I
yearbook.
would like to
There's
see,
also
them, see how similar you guys
Oh,
are.
no.
I don't
His
look
hair is
anything like
nowhere
it.
near what my hair
Also,
was.
okay, so what he was referencing earlier about my uncle being the milkman, they think that isn't that the story?
Well,
I
no,
look
not
more-
being the milk. Well, that's a whole nother story. That he, go ahead, tell the
I
story.
tend to look like my uncle, which I think would look like I don't even know who I look like. So no, my brother
Dad,
looks exactly
yeah.
like a spitting image of him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
My brother is definitely, or his brother is definitely my. And then
Even after the vasectomy.
yeah, right. Well, that's a strong swimmer.
You know,
So-
that was one of my most interacted posts ever whenever I posted a picture of Matthew on his birthday and I said, happy birthday, you little vasectomy beater, you. Everybody.
No.
Yeah, that was one of my, everybody loved it.
Wow.
That's a good one.
Wow.
He literally jumped the fence.
Yeah.
Or there's no fence. Canyon. I mean, he just jumped right over. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
yeah.
We're going way
Way-
down a tangent.
yeah.
So,
Sorry.
any hoozle. I want to go back to, so we talked about, like networking and how it's so important. But what is,
Can I ask you a question
sure.
about networking? What do you think of the networking, the little networking groups? These little, like,
I hate
whatever
them.
they are.
Despise, like BNI.
Yeah.
Despise them. I went to
And
one.
why?
Yeah, so I went to one when I was working at the bank, and first of all, they cost a lot of money.
Yes.
Second of all, it's like I was sitting at Panera Bread. This is before COVID, and I used to meet all my clients at Panera Bread back before we had a big,
Nice office.
Yeah, right. So I'm sitting in Worcester, and there's somebody that I actually know, and then somebody I don't know, and they're part of a BNI group, and that person is just grilling him. You're not sending us enough referrals. You know, now you've already been on probation, and this guy is like, he was like a plumber.
Yeah.
Right. And he's just sitting there just getting like yelled at by
You don't
this
need
guy in this
another
BNI
job.
group.
You don't-
Right.
yeah.
Because like they have like mandatory now somebody's gonna comment on this and of course defending their brand. I get it.
Well, I'll tell you my feeling on
So
it after.
you have to, because do you know much about BNI or anything?
Not that
Okay.
particular one, no.
What's
so-
BNI stand for?
Business Networking International or something like that.
It's like a corporate
Yeah.
that
And there's
sponsors these little groups.
There's a
networking
bunch of
groups.
spin-offs. There's like Worcester has their own, and it's not as cutthroat, or maybe it is, I don't know. But like there's and the idea of it is that you are the only mortgage person.
Yeah.
Then there's only
Insurance person.
so
there's
to start one
accountant,
they go firm. That's the acronym. You want a financial advisor, an insurance agent, a realtor, and a mortgage loan officer. Those four are the foundation, and then you can branch off like one plumber, one roofer, one excavator, right?
Yeah, general contractor,
But-
whatever. Yeah.
I despise them because if you suck, if you're a loan officer and I'm a realtor, and you suck, I still have to send, like, they track how many referrals are being sent out.
Okay.
Right? So it's like, so when we go back to, we refer people we like, we trust, and we respect, what if I don't like, trust, or respect you? I have to refer that. So is it in the best interest of my business and my client to refer out to my group?
Well, so I'm part of a couple, like, not like that. I don't have to pay for it. They're very informal.
Yeah.
You meet like once every month or 2 months or something, like, just to get some drinks or dinner or something like that, and you just bounce ideas off of each
no,
other.
that's perfect.
That's what networking
Yeah,
should
that's
be.
what it should be. But yeah, when
Okay.
you have to like pay to set like that, no, I agree
because then it's a
completely.
forced relationship.
Exactly.
And what's the point in that?
Yeah.
So,
And sometimes I think so. One of the things in my work that they're requiring us to go to a networking once a month. a networking group, be part of a networking group. So I've gone to one. Sometimes people use it as an excuse not to go to work for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they,
No, like
they
you said, it's a forced relationship. You know,
Yeah.
It happens organically when you create those on your own or when you find them
Right.
by yourself. But yeah, that kind of stuff, the BNI, you said it was called?
Yeah, BNI.
Yeah.
that's really strict. I mean,
Yeah,
they get really
and it's
strict.
like I just noticed it, like, paused recording it, whatever, but so I don't know how much we got of me bitching about BNI, but I think we got most of it. They also meet at 7:30 in the morning on a Friday.
Yeah.
Like, what in the hell, dude? It's Thirsty Thursday. Like,
Yeah.
No, so it's just not in the best interest of anybody. I understand where there's people that are in BNI that are loan officers that are super successful and they love their BNI group, and that's great. I'm just saying I have seen the very dark side of it.
Uh-huh.
And, for you, I would argue, like, if they're making you do a networking thing, like, all right, pay for me to join a country club.
Well, yeah.
Right? Like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can go
like,
down there and sit with those guys. And,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's again, a lot of times I'm generalizing here.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
There are special circumstances. A lot of times people in those networking groups are maybe not high performing individuals that are
Right.
in this
No,
because
They need it.
They need it. Right.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they don't know how to do it on their own.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I agree with you.
So-
I agree with you. And speaking of networking, so I back in the day, I don't know how many. It was right when Uber came out. I signed up to be an Uber driver. I mean, it was when I had the
Yeah, a lot of people do.
when I had the Jeep Cherokee, just to network. That's the only reason I did. I wanted to take people from Akron Canton Airport to wherever they're going in a hotel, and then take them back. I never drove one person. though,
Yeah.
because that I was always busy when they were coming in and they would ask. And then when I said I was available, it was always nighttime, and it was like from a bar up in Akron to another bar or maybe home, and I was afraid somebody was going to throw up in my car.
Well,
and I don't want anybody to throw up in my car.
That's what the
so-
$250 deposits for. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
But that's why I started. I wanted to Uber drive.
Yeah, there's a lot of realtors. Every time I go out to Vegas, I don't know how many business cards I've gotten. I've gotten like 2 loan officers business cards that are driving in a cab, and that's what they do. And they're like, give me their business card. And they're like,
Yeah.
like, I'd love to network. I'm like, we're not licensed in Nevada, so I'm not gonna. But thank you. Yeah.
Right.
No, there's a lot of people that do that. But let's go back to so you have. Think of one thing that somebody has said, because I'll say mine, and it is part of you, and also some. I don't know. I mean, you say it all the time. A good salesman is salesperson. Sorry, a good salesperson is somebody who can relate as people like, right? Because we like to. Okay,
You buy from people you like.
the upper 1% of people are the ones that do not sell product, that sell solutions.
Right. They solve problems.
Because once you realize that everybody that is going to purchase something has a problem, right? So whether it's a TV, I need a new TV, that's my problem. So if I sell a solution to your problem as opposed to a product, then that separates you from the 99% and puts you in the 1%.
Right.
Right. So you used to call yourself a sales engineer because that was, it made you sound fancy, but
Right.
you would always say, like, I'm selling, like, I want to hear your problem. And it's, I think it was you that said, like, if you're going into a customer and you might have the product that fits right there, you're like, hold on, I want to look at everything because I hear your problem. I want to make sure that my solution is the best solution for you.
Yeah.
And I want to give you some options,
People
as opposed to saying, I got this right here.
Right.
Like, I don't like to say
Trying
like,
to force them into that product.
right. Like, I'm not just saying, hey, here's an FHA, boom. Like,
Right.
no, let's see, like, what is it? Like, are you only putting 3.5% down because you don't have the money, or do you have the money? You want to put it in like an investment account? Is it, whatever. So I think that's the biggest thing that I remember. And so what about you? What is that? Is that the same thing? Did somebody tell you that, or like, what is the one thing?
I don't have an original thought in my brain.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I've learned stuff from it's called R&D, rob and distribute. You
Right,
find
well,
it from
yeah.
somebody else, and then
Yeah,
you
actually,
share it.
so this guy right here that we have, so his name is Barry Habib. So he's not moving. So I nobody's ever mentioned it yet on the podcast, like ever. But like I made a We're All Witnesses. That's like that dude makes me look so smart, and I literally have no original.
Just
thoughts.
copy everything he said.
Yeah, and then we would pay for his service, and literally that's what they encourage. His son talked at our Power Up, and because he's battling cancer right now, and so his son talked at our Power Up, and I was talking to him the night before, and I was like, dude, you guys like make me sound so smart. You have no idea. Like people are like, Michael, that's really, where did you learn that? I'm just studying the market, of course. Like they even have it so like you could just read and stare at the camera exactly what it is. But
so back in the day, people would say, man, you could sell ice to an Eskimo. And I would say, I'd look at them and I'd say, why would the hell would I want to sell ice to an Eskimo? They don't need it. It's not a problem for them, right? They have ice.
It's an expression, Don.
I know it is.
But they're saying you're such a good salesman, you would convince them to.
I want to sell fire to an Eskimo because they need heat.
They need heat.
Okay, so that's part of, you want to find a solution. Case in point, it's been since 2017 since I've been to Eminence, Kentucky. Eminence Speaker is located in Eminence, Kentucky. They make almost like 90% of the world's speakers for musicians. So any of the speakers, any loudspeakers, anywhere from 24 inches down to 8 inches, they make. They don't make them for automotive or for.
You're giving them free plug here.
I know. Well,
can I get
they
half
got bought
off?
out by an Italian company that I don't know their name. So you
Mi
can't get them.
scusi.
So at any rate, I sent them an email because I'm in a new place. So I'm trying to market myself to my old customers. Mm-hmm. So I sent an email to the buyer that's down there, who I was friends with, her and her husband, and the president and his wife were all workers down there. And so I just said, hey, I'm in this new spot. We're not a manufacturer, we're a distributor, but maybe I could stop down. And she, immediately calls me. Yeah, we need you to come down, because back in 2012, we helped them solve an issue going from, actually it was 2010, going from they used a chip board, which was like cardboard with adhesive on it, gasket, for the back, for vibration dampening of their speakers in their cabinets. So we switched them over to a foam, which was less expensive, and then we actually cut it different. But we were able to solve their problem, and now she wants me to come back and help solve another problem.
Whoa.
So,
TMI.
well, no. It has to do with gaskets.
I was just trying to break it up, Aaron. I have been
rubber.
For 5 minutes. He's been droning on about some sort
blah,
of
blah, blah,
and
blah,
I mean,
blah.
just get to the
your
point.
point
All right,
is
here we go. Yeah,
solving problems.
Yeah.
That's what we do. People like us, and we solve problems. If we're not solving problems, then we're worthless.
You just hijacked our podcast.
Like,
you know what I mean? He's just over here. He's like,
our guest hijacked the podcast.
I'll give you 20 minutes. He's over here just like, I'm like, I have to go back to before the beginning. That's what he was like.
Well, I really asked him 3 things there.
So it was 1965, and I was born. There's actually an interesting. So he was so famous when he was in high school. There's a newspaper article that says Sterling boy toots his horn.
Yeah, right. Toots my horn.
He went to the state fair band.
Oh my God.
Yeah, state fair band.
Not a big deal. Football players. You guys didn't go to state. Oh, they did.
No, they did.
Wow, that's 2011. I think.
Yeah, well, they were Final Four in 2012.
Yeah.
See what they do this year.
Yeah. So, fun fact about our family: we don't get out much. We have lived.
tell. Yeah.
We have lived in the same, 15-mile radius since like 1700.
That's nothing to be ashamed of.
So
We don't know. I always tell this is always a fun thing. We just got DoorDash, and it's like $100, right? And I always tell people, I'm like, literally, when I say I can't get pizza delivered to my house, I get one pizza delivered to my house. Like, why do we live where we live?
But family's important. I mean, I wish my family all lived within 15 miles of each other.
Yeah,
It's convenient.
Yeah.
Not family get together.
Yeah, it's weird. We have
gatherings.
Yeah, we have we all live in at a time we all lived on one road.
yes.
That would be nice.
So in Sterling, literally,
Sweigert
when
Road?
I say one road,
My brother lived right beside me. My sister lived
2 houses down.
Yeah.
And then cousins lived quarter mile down.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All Sweigerts. And then the rest of them lived in Cape Coral, Florida. So
Yeah.
it's like, not
Well,
really
vacationing, right?
Yeah, sure. Okay, that's fine.
Long-term.
Yeah.
Yeah, one time, these guys were the 5th generation of Sweigerts, Grossenbachers of our family to live in Sterling.
Wow.
Which was just as many as the Maybaws. And the Maybaws were always that first family that really built Sterling, because they built, when IW came in 1903 and he built Maybaw's furniture store, Maybaw's department store. Mm-hmm. That was the first big family. So my family had as many generations. At one time, we don't live in Sterling anymore, but at one time it has many generations as the Maybaws.
I went to the big city, dude. Went to the big city.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was, I brag that we own the only stoplight in the entire school district right here.
Yeah.
I don't want to brag. But,
Yeah.
Yep. And you guys always try to argue that 57-585, that doesn't count because the other side of the road is not Norway, so I don't want to hear about it. But all right, well, let's get to something real pressing. Well, you still didn't give me what is the one thing that's changed the way that you, I don't know, change your career, or one piece of advice? Is there some person? Is there do you because again, that little snip, I mean, I have a bunch of it, but that's that changed completely the way, like, I remember struggling doing this 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Jeez, wow. And I remember, like, what can I do to be not different, but make it better? And that literally was like, stop selling a product, sell a solution.
Right.
So, what's one thing you got?
I don't know. I mean, I guess.
That's not an answer.
No, I know.
That's not an answer.
I'm trying to. I mean, I go back to. I went to a number of motivational and sales seminars, but remember Zig Ziglar up at Gund Arena, which is now called.
We can't say what it is.
Okay,
not on this podcast.
Formerly known as.
Yeah.
Okay, Gund Arena.
Gund Arena.
And he was up on stage. Zig Ziglar was, and he had this old-fashioned pump well. That was just the top of it, it didn't actually have water to it. But he kept talking about, the whole spiel was talking about how you keep pumping, you keep priming, and then if you stop, the water goes back down in the well. And then you get back and you start pumping and priming, and it starts coming up, and then, shut up. Okay, this is not a G-rated show at this point in time.
I didn't say anything. All I said was
the implied. But when it comes to sales, when it comes to that, you got to keep pumping, you got to keep priming the well until the water comes out, and it's the same way with sales.
Giggity.
You got to keep working, working.
50 no's and a yes means yes.
Right, and it's all numbers. I mean, I was telling our staff yesterday. I said it's all just numbers. I mean, it's clearly just simply numbers.
Do you know the highest? So, in the sales cycle, where the majority of sales are made on the amount of touches.
Probably about the 20th.
Yeah, so ninth touch. Yeah, ninth touch in the sales cycle. Well, this was back when I was in business school.
Yeah.
But the ninth touch is where I think it's like 31% of all sales happen.
Yeah. It depends on if you're P. Diddy and you're touching.
Well, wow, Diddy party, huh? Who would have thought Big Don would have brought up the Diddy party? I mean, you made Aaron uncomfortable, and that takes a lot.
That's not uncomfortable. That's just shock.
That's and that's good, clean family fun.
Yeah. That's what P. Diddy said.
Well, we're getting canceled. Getting canceled.
Wow.
Yeah, and people that are not in sales don't understand the importance of going to a conference to rally yourself up. Like it's because you live in the world of no, or like the constant. It's not like it is repetitive in what you have to do. You have to get yourself into like a groove and a cycle and structure your days accordingly to do the same thing. But it's exhausting. Mm-hmm. It's a constant. You live in the world of defeat, right? So it's almost like baseball. Like
you need
bat 300.
You need It's and I'm not bringing church into it, but people go to church on Sundays. They think they just go to church, but it's partly to get you excited again about going out for that, to get beat up for the whole next week if you're a true Christian. Then you go to church on Sunday, and then you get reinvigorated, and then you go back out another week and get nothing different with sales seminars. Okay, two things that are going to happen at sales seminars we already talked about. One was networking, because you're going to network with other people.
That's literally 95%.
Right. And the second thing is you're going to get reinvigorated because you're going there to see people who have gone through stuff, and here's their solution.
Yeah.
And then you can pick and choose what solution you want. So that's the whole idea. I mean, I believe in education. I believe in going out and learning your craft. I mean, you have to.
Well, you listened to my one podcast I was on with Marjorie Adam, where I talked about I went out to that mastermind, and it completely changed everything that I do. So, I like them. Yeah. Plus, they're always in Vegas now. I just bitched about this on the last podcast. Always in Vegas, and you're so excited to go. And as soon as you get out there and you're waiting in line to get in your room, you're like, I'll take a beer. And then it's $12.50. You're like, no beer for me. Yeah. Right. But let me lose $200 on the slot machine and get my free beer then. So,
Vegas has changed from, years ago.
That's what I said in the last one. Yeah, it absolutely did. But all right, let's get to pressing issues.
Very pressing.
Pressing issues. First off,
for lunch?
No. First of all, I want to hear, because we talked about it a little bit, give me top 2 movies.
Well,
God, he's like a politician.
I mean, for a sales movie or just any movie?
Any
favorite
movie.
Any movie.
I just want to see any movie.
There's so many of them.
Well, duh.
I mean, there are so many.
Yeah, there are so many.
But I mean, the one that I watch, I mean, even like the Batmans, the new Batmans.
Yeah, the Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight ones, and I like those. I would have to say I like Tommy Boy. I mean, only because
That's in your top two movies.
Well, I'm a fat guy, you know, and fat guy with small
And a little coat.
little coat, yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, I don't know if I like all his humor, but
You know what? Wait.
Wedding Crashers was fun.
These are your top two movies.
I don't have a top
The
two.
question wasn't what movies do you enjoy. The question was top two.
Like Desert Island movies.
yeah, like
if there
one
was
movie
only-
you okay,
yeah.
one movie you could watch the rest of your life.
I don't have one that I could watch.
Hope Floats.
No.
Loves it.
Football.
Well, that's actually what I was talking about earlier.
I mean, I would watch football the rest of my life. I just love watching football. It's not a movie.
You know what? Watching
know.
football with him, like he like has a heart attack every time. Like he just
Field of
screams.
Dreams. Field of Dreams is, I would say, is one of my top two. I like Field of Dreams.
Wow. All right, cool. Yeah, good. All right. I mean, why? Because it's baseball.
That was baseball.
Yeah, okay.
And it was, I mean, it was far-fetched a little bit, but it was just, you always have that hope eternal that there is that baseball game that's not.
What in the hell
you
is
know,
he saying?
I don't know.
Okay, well,
I mean,
What
look
does
at
he
it.
mean?
Is you bring back all those star players, and then certain people can see it, but other people who are not believers can't see it. I mean, just think about it. I mean,
Have you seen Field of Dreams?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it?
No,
never
I mean,
seen
no,
Field of
I've
Dreams?
seen. I haven't seen it in apparently a
every
long
time
time.
time it's on, I stop and watch it.
a little Sixth Sense-ish, yeah. And he's dead.
And you
He's
know
dead
what?
the whole
The other
time.
one is, and this was, I hate to say it, but man, I liked Patriot. Patriot was good.
Why you hate to say it? That's a good movie.
Patriot was good.
But I also liked Remember the Titans.
Yeah, who doesn't like Remember?
I mean,
Titans?
Remember
Al
the Titans
Goodman's
was
really
good.
Disney movie.
Yeah.
And it was a good movie, but it's nowhere near based on the true story.
No, it's not, and it's also very
What is
cheesy.
it?
The
Remember the Titans.
the actual
Okay.
story, yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually very far off.
Okay.
It's kind
I mean,
of-
so is Patriot for that matter. But
well, Patriot's not a real story. Actually, do you know who the Patriot is based off of? It's cool. So the Swamp Fox, Marion,
Oh boy.
driving a blank now.
Hey, you know what happens between
Marion.
You know what happens between Dayton and Marion, don't you?
Oh God.
No.
Engagement.
Oh god, that's stupid. Marion. Now I'm like further off from when it was.
And you're
Marion
not-
Francis Marion. Francis Marion.
Francis Marion.
Francis Marion.
All right.
That-
Okay. Who founded the Marines?
Ah, okay.
So the Swamp Fox is he a general? Or he's a colonel. Yeah.
Colonel.
So it was kind of based off of like Benjamin Martin is
Yeah.
Francis Marion.
Okay.
And I didn't know. I just always thought it was a fictional character.
Yeah.
But then when we went to Charleston, we stayed in the Swamp Fox Hotel where he always stayed, and he was quartered during the Revolutionary War
Yeah, when he was
in
fighting.
South Carolina, in Charleston,
Yep.
which is like so. Did not know that, and I did not know that movie was based off like the founding of the Marines.
Wow. No,
It was essentially just the militia that instead of standing in front of them and getting shot, which I don't understand how
is
that
why
was
they're
a war
tough.
crime or wasn't a war crime. Like, wasn't there like a code of war? History major.
There was, but I mean, we could go a whole nother podcast on that history, like the line formation stuff. But yeah, there was. That's why British lost, because they weren't used to fighting like that.
Right. Which I thought was like they had, that's what Cornwallis bitches about. He says they're not being gentlemen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you imagine, like, oh, sir, let me shoot you. Let me be a gentleman so you can just slaughter me. That sounds great. That's right. All right. No, the Patriot's good. You know what movie that I watched with you in the basement of the old house that scared the living piss out of me?
Showgirls.
What is it?
You want to talk? No. Red Dawn.
Oh, Red Dawn.
Yeah, we were just talking about that too.
I was like,
Do
probably
you ever
like 10
think
years
about
old.
could that happen? I mean,
No, it can't
and then the new Red Dawn came out.
Do you know how hard it is to invade the United
Well,
States?
I get it, but that was the whole idea behind
Back
the movie.
then,
Was
yeah.
premise was could this happen? And then Rocky Mountains
Scared
in
the
West
shit out of me.
Is all Russian and
Literally scared the shit out of me. I remember, and like I remember walking upstairs. It was like night. I'm like 10 years old probably, and I'm just like,
traumatized.
you could see in the kitchen.
He doesn't like scary movies.
No, I hate scary movies. I hate
Huh.
getting scared. You like scary movies? I don't like
Watching
the emotion of
Beetlejuice.
fear. So
That's
like I
not
don't. Yeah, Beetlejuice. What the hell?
don't say it 3 times.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah,
don't say
don't
it again though.
yeah.
Oh my god,
it's like-
he's out there.
You were messing with power beyond your comprehension.
It's like the IRS. Don't say that.
How
Don't
about
say it 3
Leprechaun?
times. The movie?
Yeah, the one with the little tiny. I mean, the actual.
yeah, it's a leprechaun. Yeah.
Yeah. That was scary.
Well, all right. You
Well,
you're
no,
on,
speaking of lunch, okay, we covered the movies.
Yeah.
Speaking of lunch, what's your last meal?
My
you're on death
last
row.
meal-
You're on
Death
death
row.
row.
Oh, what would be my last meal?
Yeah, what would be your last meal?
Man.
You're on death row. What's
Man,
your?
I like a
what's
lot
your
of
order?
things. I mean, you can see I
you
have not missed many meals.
Yeah, and large.
Large,
and
and
a
large.
dork.
You can have whatever you want. Doesn't have to be just one thing. It could be a smorgasbord.
Well, I mean,
You're not doing yourself any favors with that shirt either. That is very eclectic.
it was my party shirt.
Yeah.
Well, this is gonna be on Friday. It's gonna be released on Friday, right?
And not this Friday, next Friday.
Well, I know, but I
Yeah,
wore
on a
this
Friday.
on Friday.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Party on Friday. Yep. Wait.
So
Last meal.
Yeah.
that you know what that is?
Hang loose.
Yeah, well, you know what that is.
Stink.
No, that's a guy lost his thumb on a saw, and he's trying to forget it.
That was terrible. That was awful.
That was way
wow.
awful.
Just you could put a camera in front of his face. He starts.
Yeah. Last meal. I mean, I like shrimp.
Okay.
That's gonna be your last meal.
I like bacon wrapped.
Your first
Filet.
favorite. Oh, filet. Wow.
Okay, so we got shrimp.
From anywhere, like any specific place, or you just.
I hate to do chain stuff, but
Oh my God! Don't say it. Go ahead.
it was a steak place. It wasn't Morton's.
Oh.
It was a place in Chicago. I like. Well, you know what?
Gallagher's.
Down at the down near the what was it called? It was down underneath near Shaw's Crab House. Shaw's Crab House had a real thick Lake Superior whitefish that was really thick, and then it was grilled and it was put on a wood with like garlic mashed potatoes around it. That was really good.
That's your last meal.
Yeah, that would be good.
Fish is basically a vegetable.
Along with the filet.
Okay.
Oh,
The bacon
okay.
on filet. Hey, you said anything?
Yeah,
yeah,
but
literally,
just to
yeah.
have fish
Yeah.
on the same table.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Aaron said he would never stop eating. That's like his last meal. He would just keep eating.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Could you actually kill yourself by just eating and never stopping?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to shit? I'm
Still alive.
You can say, hey, shit, that's fine.
You're going to.
I mean, after everything you said today,
Haven't you seen the movie Seven?
Yeah. No, he didn't. No.
That one big guy, he force feeds him till he dies.
Oh. Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. I guess I didn't pick that up. Seven's a good movie. Seven's a really good movie.
okay.
You ever seen Seven?
Nope.
Kevin Spacey. Well, I mean, Kevin Spacey is the killer, and
Yeah.
he kills people based off the 7 deadly sins.
Ah.
So, So it's very good. Very good. Morgan Freeman's in it. When you're not going to believe it, he's the same character he's in every single movie.
He was God.
Well, no, he's just a wise older man who's on the
okay.
ending part of his life, who is so sage and
Bruce Almighty.
right. That's what I mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of your top two movies.
No. I already said my top two.
That's what he would watch while he's eating his last meal.
there you
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. So that was an hour of our. That was an hour. You
Holy
blabbed
cow.
on forever.
Yeah, see?
Seems so much longer than that.
Does it? No, it doesn't. We didn't get any words in. He just had the whole
did
thing.
I ever tell you that when you walk into the bathroom with him and you say, hey, it's a Sweigert thing. Oh, I guess this is where all the dicks hang out.
Yeah, he says that.
That's one of my favorite
that's
things.
favorite lines.
Actually, all right. So we'll end it on this. One of my favorite things. We were hammered, and we were at.
We were never
Mexican,
hammered.
I think.
We were never
Never
hammered.
drank before.
Never.
And I think we're at Mexican, and he's in there pissing, and I'm just the hammer drunk.
No, shut
And
up.
I walk in, and I just bust the door because I know he's the only one in there, and I bust the door open, and I don't even say a word, and he just starts crying. He's laughing
I'm
so
laughing
hard
so hard.
because he knows what I'm about to say, right? So
I
imagine
did.
he's just sitting there pissing, and I'm just trying to I'm busting in because I know I'm gonna say it. He's crying. He's got we always call it the Chinese face because he looks like a Chinese man, like literally. He's crying
When they
so
get me
hard,
laughing so hard.
and then I just bust the door open. And I don't even say it.
You didn't even say it.
And then
you didn't have to. I knew what he was going to say.
And then some guy walks in. I'm like, yeah, we're having a father-son moment. Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, that's it. Thanks for joining Big
Yep.
Ronsky the Ronsky.
Hope it works out.
Oh, yeah, we'll find out.